My name is Boris Sieber, CEO of Tag Marshall. And thanks everyone for joining us today for our expert session. We have Dan McIntire with us, the head golf pro at Woodbridge Golf Club. Dan, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing, Bodo?
I'm good. You were just surveying the grounds over at Woodbridge after a stormy morning. How's things looking?
We are wrestling the aftermath out here, but it's unconfirmed, but we may have had a small tornado roll through the Woodbridge neighborhood, probably in the last 8 hours or so, but definitely a significant weather event. Hello to all my North Texas PGA brothers. I'm sure you guys are all dealing with something or another this morning, so hope everybody's safe and okay. And just want to say thank you to Tag Marshall for having me on this morning, and to the NTPGA for choosing to host this and broadcast this live.
Yes, 100%. Austin, before we get going, PDR credits always hot currency. Tell us what the pros need to do to get registered with you guys, or to log them.
Yeah, this is a PDR confirmed seminar, and so no action is needed from anybody that's attending the call. Your registration attendance, we'll get a list and we'll allocate those later this week.
Easy, all automated.
Yeah.
Sounds like there's technology is in charge here. That's how we like it. All right. Welcome to our expert session with Dan McIntire. How Woodbridge Golf Club uses on-course optimization technology to save labor hours and increase revenue. Those are both very important topics. I'm particularly excited because Woodbridge is part of Advanced Golf, and we have a long history working with the group. I think we're on 15 properties now, and also generating group-wide data. And I know the effort that all the managers put in, and how well everyone's dialed into driving the operations forward. It's amazing, the energy and also the alignment between the different operations. So super excited to have you on, Dan. Tell us a bit about Woodbridge. What do we need to know? How many rounds do you guys do? A bit of the advanced golf history with the club, and also how you got to be the head golf pro there.
Yeah, of course. Woodbridge is a public facility. It was built in 1999 by Lee Singletary. He was the designer. It was originally home to the North Texas PGA as well. Again, we're a public facility. Last year, I think we did just north of 60,000 rounds, so we operated a very high capacity. Thanks to Tag Marshall. Tag Marshall allows us to do a very high volume, and with good efficiency and a good customer experience. As far as myself, I have been here for about 1.5 years. I started in the golf business at Sky Creek Ranch Golf Club, which is another advanced golf property, working in outside services, and then made my climb to the golf shop, and I apprenticed there for about 2 or 3 years. Was promoted to first assistant in 2020, and then did tournament operations out there for a good bit. And then right about the time, right about the time that I made the transition over here, Advanced Golf had acquired Woodbridge, and it was just a very smooth transition. The club manager here is Gary Galloway, and I worked under him when he was managing Sky Creek Ranch. So he brought me over here, and me and my team have really working on making some improvements out here. Really, this golf course, with the previous ownership, had about 10 years of neglect as far as maintenance practices, but really just overall operations and the management of the club itself. So over the last 2-3 years, We've just been trying to correct that and, restore this golf course to what it was originally intended. And, when it was back in its heyday, when it was the home to the North Texas PGA, it was really a thriving golf course. And we're happy to say we're steering in the right direction and, in a really good spot right now.
Yeah, that's amazing to hear. And I have seen advanced golf guided transformations at quite a few properties, so I believe every word. Austin, did you know about the tie to the North Texas PGA? Was that before your time?
It was before my time. I believe that that we were there. Probably, I think we moved into our office before our current location at PGA Frisco in the early 2000s or late 90s. So it's been a little while since we've been out there.
Well,
but yeah, it used to be the home of the section office.
It seems like you guys got a level up with your amazing setup at PGA Frisco, but Woodbridge Golf Club also got a level up.
That's it.
So here we go, making things better. Thanks for the quick intro. Just one question, and I know that that's an advanced golf the sort of drive that you have your daily fee, you're open, but you also have a membership aspect to it. Just tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so we do have a few programs out here. Now we have a 5 and 7 day annual membership option for the golfers that play frequently enough. It definitely helps them on their cost per round. But we do also have a variety of afternoon focused memberships and social memberships. Our monthly base golf package is $67 a month, which provides members with access to the practice facilities, range balls, and discounted fees starting at 2 p.m., where they only play for a $15 access fee, which is a very popular program. We're happy to say our membership is very strong right now. Just golf memberships alone, I think we probably have close to 1,000 between our 5-7 day and our practice, learn, and play memberships. And then we do have a very thriving restaurant as well. One of the big parts of the advanced golf culture is the food, which if you've been to any of our properties like Sky Creek or Bridlewood, and Frisco Lakes and Westridge is in the middle of a restaurant renovation right now. We have very impressive food between our barbecue and our pizza and our tacos and burgers. We do a really good job with that. And the people in the neighborhood, most of them do have a social membership, and you can actually combine that with our the practice, learn, and play golf program to get best of both worlds, and it's $99 a month for that option as well. So we're a very family oriented club, and we're welcoming to all out here.
I know that there's a scale of advanced golf ways of doing things, and one of them is like do the basics extremely well, right? So I know the mantra of how can we get the best pizza, the best steak, the best ice cream, even, right? Right. I've learned all about the ice cream, and those things matter, right? And then how can we make this welcoming for kids, right? So that the parents can spend the extra time and love coming here. So you really have, I know as a group, you have created amazingly successful blueprints, but ultimately what drives the bus is what happens out on the golf course, right? And you want to do that as best you can. So that's what we're here to talk about. If you'll allow me, before we jump in, just a quick introduction to Tag Marshall. So we are building a golf course optimization platform. We've been on this mission now for 9 years, and we are very blessed to work with over 500 partners globally. We tracked 50 million rounds of golf, and obviously we learn from those because every round comes with lots and lots of data. We're very fortunate that we, especially this year, super excited to have 2 of our partners host majors. We just watched a really, really strong major with the PGA Champs played at Valhalla. They've been multi-year partners of ours and really getting fantastic performance with our program. And a few weeks from now, we'll watch the US Open at Pinehurst. Same The great thing is that us working with, I think it's over 40 of the top 100 golf courses. There's really, really strong management, and they define where the industry is going in the future, right? So for us, it's great to be part of those operations and learn from them, and then bring back those learnings into our system and into the rest of the market. We even work with the old course at St. Andrews, which is crazy to think that a traditional golf course like that would dial into technology. It's taken them a while, but here we go, right? So we're very excited to be making more and more of a difference. In fact, we recently also tracked a USGA event that was hosted at San Antonio. I don't know if it was the women's four-ball. So we're also working in that space, and that's a different opportunity for us to learn what's important for the tours and those operators. And again, we can bring that back into the day-to-day operations. So it's been a super rewarding journey for us so far, but as I keep saying, it's only the beginning because there's so much room for us to add further value and grow. Going back to you, Dan, we want to understand the key player experiences and the key player experience factors. And like I said, the playbook that you guys have with Advanced Golf is very progressive around this. But if you're looking at these factors down here: course design, course conditioning, clubhouse and amenities, pace and flow of play, playing partners who's in my group, accessibility, tee times availability, cost value, which is a little bit loaded. If you had to pick 3 that a golf course needs to get right, which 3 would you pick?
Well, out of the listed options there, some of those things, unfortunately, are out of our control. Some things I do see here that we can control, and that's really what we want to focus on as a group. As far as experience factors, I would say course conditioning and pace of play. Those are probably the number 1 and 2 success factors that we look at as far as a management team on where we want to invest the most time and attention to get the most reward, when it comes to the golfer experience. So yeah, number 1 and 2, course conditions and pace, absolutely. But none of the others are surprises. And we believe that if we do the right things with both of those 2 bullets there, that will allow us to adjust our cost or what we're able to charge the customer.
Yeah, I think you're quite right. And I've actually asked our audience to have a quick vote on this. So if you wouldn't mind, just pick your 3 options here so we can read the room a little bit. I do think the value is ultimately if we hit the right boxes for the golfers, right? What they associate value with, that's what drives up what we earn the right to charge, right? And very often, I mean, there's 2 ways of doing business, right? You can either discount and make it very attractive for people to come to you where they're feeling they're getting a deal. But that is also a bit of a downward spiral. And the other direction as well, if we improve our quality, we can ask for higher rates and people will say this is great value. And I know distinctively, having had a lengthy conversation with Larry Galloway, who obviously is one of your principals at Advanced Golf and one of also your mentors in a way. If you listen to Larry, you think what you're serving up is $150 round of golf, right? Just the belief and the authenticity and the quality and the drive that goes behind everything that you do and how much care goes into it. It sounds like that's $150. It has to be, right? But that is how value is created, right? Because if I go and book my round at Woodbridge, that's not what I'm going to pay, but it feels like it, and that's how you get it right. So let's see what the research says. I'm going to end the poll.
And I apologize to interrupt. I have a few things going on at the event that I'm at, so I'm gonna have to jump off. Again, I apologize, but I wanted to be here to show you guys just thanks for all you do for the section. Certainly not requirement that you become a partner with the section, but all the support that you show for our members and the section overall. I just want to say thank you for all of that, and really look forward to catching up on the rest of the webinar once you guys put it together. But just want to say thank you, and again, apologize that I have to jump off here.
No problem, Austin. We know that you're in crisis management mode over there. Good luck for the rest of your day, and please stay safe. All right.
Absolutely. You guys have a great conversation. We'll catch up soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Austin.
Absolutely. So let's look at what our crowd has voted. We've got course conditioning, pace and flow, tide, accessibility, and tee time availability third. That is, that's what the room temperature is here with our audience. Let's quickly look at what the data says. So the USGA, obviously, as the custodians of the game, have done various research initiatives around this, and one of the big ones where they asked, I don't know what, 20,000-30,000 golfers, came out pretty much in line with what you're saying. Course conditioning floats to the top, 82% highest voted. Playing partners in my group, number 2. Don't pay me with that weird single. Pace and flow of play, number 3. 74% of players saying that's critical to us. And I would argue that it's probably more critical than ever, because our ability to be patient is curtailed by our lives having gotten used to instant service and instant gratification, and DoorDash, Uber, Amazon, you name it, right? So we're just used to things need to work, and I want it now, right? So if I have to really be patient and I'm getting stuck on a golf course, that really doesn't gel with that way of life any longer, right? So we have to get it right. And I also speak to enough players, and they're saying, I wish I could play more golf. I said, why aren't you playing? And the single answer that I always get is, not, it's too expensive, I don't have the time, right? So those are the things we need to respect. And then secondly, we also want to know what operators are thinking about this, and 84% of operators saying it's the top 3 priority. So you guys are on the money investing in this and paying attention to it, because it is critical for us. And we're going to talk about that more when we look into the technology. But what happens out on the golf course is the economic engine of the golf course. That's really what drives things for you. So you want to do that as best you can, and as smooth as possible. No surprises here. You spoke about controllables, right? Of course, you can change your course design, but then you have to find a couple of $1 million.
Right.
Would you say that, like, if you wanted to improve your course conditioning by 20-30%, what would that cost you versus improving your pace of play by 20-30%, right? Like, if you have to pick one, which one do you choose? What's the value in terms of money invested? Those are things you have to ask yourself, right? What discussions do you guys have around this? And also, how do you make decisions on what you want to do better?
Yeah, of course. As far as what we're able to spend on the maintenance side, this company came in Advanced Golf, and we immediately recognized that we had our work cut out for us as far as what we had to do to improve, and we certainly did. We came in with a bigger budget for our superintendent to be able to do what was really required to, but it's no comparison in terms of how much we are spending for tag marshal services. I think the output is far greater, and I think the customers do recognize that. I don't think there's any question that having the two-way screens installed on the carts, it's probably been the best decision that we've made as a company since we've taken over, and the customers are very appreciative of that.
Yeah, great. I know that Larry will always say, if you can make your greens better, make them better. Like, you'll always win if you do that, but obviously costs money, right? So that's great to hear. Let's jump into one more research aspect. So again, the USGA, being the good custodians of the game that they are, they mandated the University of Wisconsin to do an advanced study around this. It was actually more than 1 year of research and really understanding the game better, and they went to multiple courses and tracked data and did thousands of surveys. A really real deep dive, and I've had the privilege of meeting both the profs that were in charge of this, and one of them is Christina Schoonover, is on the stage here when that was what was presented at the Golf Innovation Symposium, and she's in a unique position to head this up, because she was running a course on golf management at the University of Wisconsin Stout, and obviously being a researcher is very capable, but she's also the head of operations at Erin Hills golf club that US Open was 2017, and they incidentally are our very first customer we ever had. So they're part of the furniture, and we're part of the furniture for them as far as tag marshal goes, but that was just coincidental. So they, in their research, found out that there's 1,000 touch points in a round of golf, and they wanted to understand which of these touch points are the most important to get right, which of them delight players and which of them frustrate players, and which of them float down the middle, right? And it was a really important piece of research, and what they came up with is that you have to get certain things right, but what's really surprising is that how pace of play is such a polar experience for golfers. So what they found is that corrective pace of play actions, which in the traditional sense means a ranger or marshal coming over and saying, hey guys, you're slow, pick it up, is the overall worst score that a golfer will give as far as their experience goes. At the same time, other people's speed, so if other people are feeling like I'm being held up and I'm slowed down, that is equally as bad. And then on a top end, we've got positive ranger etiquette as overall top score, which is if you're turning your slow, get on with it on its head somehow, that players find delightful, maybe because they don't see it often. Conditioning obviously floats to the top, open tees, don't have to wait, overall playing speed, all those things are good. There's a long list of things that also very much the tried and trusted and expected items. But we obviously fascinated that pace is so polar. Dan, from your experience, are you just any surprises that it's ranking like in such a polar way, and how are you guys experiencing that at Woodbridge?
No, I think ranger etiquette is huge. I think anybody who's customer facing within our club, I think they do have to have the right attitude, and a lot of training is involved in that. But we work really hard to find the right people that come in and show up with the right attitude, and hopefully it rubs off on the customer. We find that it typically does, but just in terms of interactions on the golf course, we really focus on high competency in all areas, one of those on the golf side is pace of play. And it is probably the #1 area that we try to be the most competent in. And as soon as the golfer walks into the golf shop, on our TV screen, we do have not the golf channel, but we have our tag marshal map up. So as soon as our members, our customers come in, they see the map, they see the assets on the golf course, they see the color patterns, and they will ask us questions oftentimes on what the different colors mean, whether it be green or orange or red or magenta. So and we're happy to explain that to them in hopes that they can learn a little bit about the technology that we're using as well. And when that interaction takes place, whether it be in the golf shop or on the first tee with the starter, or with the marshal on the golf course when they have their handheld or their tablet, I think the customer, what we want them to understand is when there's a good day out there, it's not by accident. If we're all green, it's because we're paying this money, and it's important to us. The customer's time is important to us, and it's not just because the golf course is easy, because it's not because everybody out there is a great golfer. No, it's because we actually invest time and money into technology that will provide that experience. So if the customer leaves, there's one thing we want them to know, and that there was a specific reason why they played a 4-hour round of golf today,
Mm.
and that's because Woodbridge cares about it. And hopefully they remember that the next time they choose where they're gonna book their round of golf.
And they do, right? There's no doubt about it that it fosters a repeat play and loyalty, and that is great for your business, right? So let's jump into what that looks like from a technology point of view. How do you use it? So yeah, here's a famous quote: "What gets measured gets managed, and if you can't measure it, you can't improve it." So you have your king of measuring things at Advanced Golf is Bob Witzel, right? He's your operations guru, and
Yep.
he really, that's currency for him, right? Data. I want to know, are we doing well? Where can we improve? It's not to find anyone out. It's just to hold yourselves to high standards, and you can only do that if you have the information. Otherwise, you're flying blind. And so let's look at the technology a little bit. Dan, you mentioned that you guys picked the screen option, which obviously has some of the tried and trusted GPS functionality in terms of the front end for the golfers. But the main drive that Tag Marshall is after is how can we be the best possible business tool to manage this business critical function, which is what happens out on your golf course and how you manage the throughput of players at the highest quality, so that ultimately you get best marks, but also where can we look for capacity, and how can we do it in a way that's really resource efficient, right? Because you've got a big property and it's a long day, and you don't want to throw labor hours out there just for the sake of it. So before we jump in, how Woodbridge dives into this, we have various options here. We can just track your cards. We can put a screen in, 8-inch, 10-inch, whichever one works. Or we've got an app that tracks caddy programs. We've got a handheld unit, a walking unit. So we can virtually any mobility, any cart type, whichever brand it is, we can make that work. And so our system then feeds data back into the control room at the club. And we know that it's very often it's a bit addictive, right? You want to know what's happening out there, even if maybe you're not at the office. You can at any moment check how the guy's doing. Are we on track? Is it a good day? And obviously there's lots of backend data which we're also going to jump into. Dan, the screens I know is a secondary benefit to you guys, and we'll talk to the operational benefits in a minute. But maybe while we're here, how does that help your players' awareness of the pace and also just the automation of your workflow that you can interface with the players like that? Is that helpful to you guys?
It is certainly helpful. Yes. The two-way messaging feature, where if my marshal's on the other side of the golf course, and I do have a group out of position, and that's one of the biggest things that we focus on is the out of position or the problem group. That's what we would define as the offender or the delayer, the individual that we want to isolate out there. And one thing that we measure in our reporting is our response time and our resolution time. So how long did it take our marshal to speak with that group, make a note, and leave an interaction? And then how long did it take that group to get back in position? So as soon as we get that alert in the golf shop, or our marshal gets that alert on his tablet, we empower them to get there as fast as they can. And just the intervention alone, it doesn't tell the whole story. That's great, but we want to know how effective that intervention was. We've all talked to the marshal that comes in and says, you guys need to speed up. Well, we really need to get the message across to that golfer that they are the problem right now, and that there's a significant amount of people behind them whose experience is diminished because they cannot abide by our pace of play standard. So yes, the two-way apps is very helpful in terms of response time, because if my marshal's all the way on the other side of the golf course, it's a big piece of property to manage. So if we can use those screens to send the message to the player, hey, you're out of position and my marshal is on the way to come talk to you. We always include that. Someone is gonna come talk to you, no matter what. If you fall out of position, you are gonna be spoken to by somebody, and that's not a bad thing. We want the marshal to be the good guy out there. Really, that's one thing that we try to build into our culture is the marshal's there to protect you. He's there to protect the player experience. He's not the bad guy who's rolling around. And that goes back to the etiquette. We want that to be a happy sight on the golf course. So when the marshal rolls around, that's somebody who's going to come in with a positive attitude. But he's there, to create effective change.
Yeah, I love that you're so intentional around that. And maybe just one point before we dig into who you got dialed into the program and what that actually looks like for you. But you can see, and Dan is talking about colors, and that the system knows who's late or delaying out of position, like you said. So this color strip down here is very simple. You're on pace. But once that changes, you will know you are now delaying groups behind you, or you will also know that, well, we are being delayed right now, right? So it's completely transparent, and it really does help. And we've seen this many times because we do have the classic tracker that's hidden away and just aggregates data, but there is an element of self-management because players, they want to actually play compliantly, right? They don't want to be the guys who slow down others, but often they don't know. They just don't have an awareness, right? So if the system can tell them, they actually very often self-correct without anyone needing an intervention. But let's look at the map. And I'm sure that yesterday, being Memorial Day, was a hell of a busy with you guys. How do you even make sense of everything that moves? So we've created a scenario here where we're looking at what a day might look like at the club. So tell us two things. Firstly, who have you got dialed into the system? You mentioned earlier you even have a TV screen, so it's the first thing you see when you walk to the clubhouse. So who's dialed in from a staffing point of view? And then also, what do we see? How do these colors work? How is it helpful?
Yeah, absolutely. So yesterday was Memorial Day. We think we finished with a count of 318 golfers. And anybody out there knows that on those holiday Mondays is when you get the cast of characters out that might not be a regular golfer. They typically will come out because it is a holiday and they have the day off, and maybe they play 1 or 2 rounds of golf a year and they're not very good and it is kind of slow. So yesterday was an uphill battle for us from the very start, where we had a few of our early groups fall out of position, and that's what you'll see when you look at the magenta color. That purple is telling us that they are both behind pace and they're out of position, meaning they have a certain number of time in that they're behind the group in front of them. So for us, it's 10 and 10. So they're 10 minutes behind pace and they're 10 minutes behind the group in front of them. Now, if they stay like that for a number of time, that's when we get alerted that we need to go out and talk to them as soon as possible. But it is automated so that their color will change. Now, at the point in time yesterday where all of our groups were back in position, most of our carts were turned orange because they were behind pace. Now, no one was out of position on the golf course, and that's where us as a group, the communication to the golfer needs to be that, okay, here's what we're going to update you with. We've done our job so that now everybody on the golf course is in position. That's a good thing. That means there's no open spaces, but it also means there's nowhere for anywhere to go and no way to speed things up. So we do accept the fact that some days when we do over 300 rounds, we might not hit that 4 hour and 30 minute mark, but the communication to the customer that that they're not waiting on anybody, and there's not one group that's the problem. That goes a long way, and they really do appreciate that. And most people do know what they're getting into when they play on a Memorial Day. But yes, yesterday every group that myself and our marshal talked to, when we informed them that there wasn't one group that was alone causing the problem. You know, they were very on board with the technology that we use to explain that. So yeah, it was a very busy day yesterday, in short.
I want to just pick up on one thing you said. It's the concept of being out of position. And I know that is something that our customer success team trains our partners on, because one of the big challenges is that how do we deliver our message, right? And golfers, very often they're used to being called slow, and they just cannot compute that, you know. So we want to stay away from accusing a golfer of being slow. They will always defend themselves no matter what. But that is where the different positioning that you're using. So you're saying, hey guys, you're out of position. That is so much easier to compute, right? We need to catch up a bit. We're out of position, because being a slow golfer is like having a low IQ, right? I don't want to hear that. Based on what? I'm going to defend myself, right? So being out of position, or saying you're a bit out of position, help me catch up a bit, it's a very different message. But what makes the main difference is to have data, right? To have information. The system tells me that, help me out. So it's not my opinion. Data doesn't have emotion. It's very easy to deliver. And again, going back to yeah, who might have this conversation, and do you need the former Army colonel to go and have the conversation, or who do you pick on your staff? And you don't always have a marshal, I take it. Who goes out and delivers those interventions, because you do track them, and it's obviously part of the success as well. So who have you got dialed in, and who knows, and who's the messenger?
So pretty much everybody's dialed in. We got whoever is attending the golf shop. We have 2 desktops. Tag Marshal is open on both. Like I said, Tag Marshal is open on the main TV in the golf shop. Our starter has a tablet, as well as our Marshal. Both have open tabs with Tag Marshal at all times. And our beverage carts also, who use a tablet out there. One benefit of having the beverage cart have that open is when they do see where groups are being delayed, they can make a beeline right for those groups, and that it will help you know, ease the pain a little bit if they're having to wait. If what you, I think you refer to them as the beer angels photo, if the beer angels
Yes.
on the way. Now, and also if they see the you know, the magenta group, then we like to make sure that if we're serving them, that's a very quick you know, interaction or quick service for them. But yes, our Marshall starter, bev carts, and pro shop, and to go back to what I was saying earlier, you know, it really does help give them direction, that data. You know, for a long time, you know, I think people have been marshaling and managing pace of play the wrong way, with their heads buried in the sand. You know, when everybody's in position and it's gridlocked and there's nowhere for anyone to go, and the marshal's coming around and he's throwing stones and rocks at groups, that at any group he can see, just saying, speed it up, you got to speed it up. And when you're telling that to every group on all 18 holes, how is that supposed to come across to them? That's not the interaction that we want to have. We want to be able to isolate the problem group, and if they're not a problem group, really we don't need to have any sort of interaction at all, other than that we have taken care of the problem, and that we have factual evidence that there's no single group delaying the golf course. So but just going talking to every group on the golf course saying they're slow, it's hopefully not something anyone's doing anymore, now that we have technology to prove that that's not effective.
Yes, I do think it is hard to picture, like if you were to rip out the system today and go back to how you used to do things, I don't think you'd cope, right? It's just like your brain would explode. How could we ever have done it without that? We get used to it very quickly. It's like the Google Maps and Waze that we rely on, right? If we delete the app and I give you a paper map, you'd be like, no ways, am I going back to that?
Right.
The question, so we've got about 20 or so T-sheet integrations. I know that Advanced Golf has a long-standing relationship with Chronogolf, which is Lightspeed. Is that helpful at all when it comes to your workflows and just getting more data aggregated across the systems that you're running?
Yeah, it's great. We actually use the auto assign feature, which well, players have the option when they pull up to the first tee box, the cart will recognize based on the tee time intervals. It could either be one of two groups, and players are prompted to select the players' names in the groups as it's reflected on the tee sheet. And if they choose not to do that, then the system will self-correct, and it will auto assign a group to their name, and we find that it is very accurate. So when a group is behind pace, on the menu on the right side, we'll be able to see who exactly it is, which helps us figure out their playing patterns, and if they're a member or a repeat customer, the next time they come back to the club, we might be able to see that the last time they played, they played in 4 hours and 40 minutes. So that way we can be proactive the next time, and we can mention to them at the counter or at the starter that we missed the mark last time, but it's a new day to hit the mark. So yes, it is very helpful.
I really love like how you own it, right? And because one of the things that sometimes happens if you're talking to a club manager around pace of play is they get a bit defensive, much like the players, and saying, we don't have a problem, we're not slow. Like, I'm not a slow player, we don't have a problem. But how do you know if you don't have the data, right? So I really like how transparent you want to be around it, and that you also own it if the odd day that you don't get it right, that this is what happened, because you have the data and you learn from that. And we'll dig into that in just a minute. One of the things I just want to mention is it's very busy out there. So even with a system that's intuitive and really takes into account what is the trend of this group, how many groups behind them are they impacting, are they getting worse, are they getting better, like all of that is built into the algorithms. And how early on in the group in the round are they a problem, or are they about to come off the 18th without doing that much more damage? But one of the things that we've learned actually from the tours is that they want to see the gap time. That's much more critical than the distance out on the golf course, because the distance as groups move across the tee box, fairway, green, the distance always adjusts, right, depending on where you're at in your play. But the time gap between groups is the one thing that matters. So our team has designed the gap time monitor, which is a visual representation of that, and you can immediately see the gaps. And you may not be able to see those gaps physically looking at the groups out there. So that is all part of the calculation, just to make things a bit easier. And then also, we have visual creatures, right? We respond to certain inputs differently. And this is another way that that we're trying to be helpful. I need to keep us on time here, Dan. It's fantastic to get your insight, but we've got a bit more content to get through in the next 15 minutes. So let me jump ahead to one other feature that I know is useful to you guys, especially also post-round, and that is a track map. So basically, it's a history of what happened with every single round that gets played. So how do you use this, and what can you see on this example screen here?
Yeah, well, it's giving us the ability to see what interactions were made at certain points in the player's round. So, if we've had a bad day, we like to go back and look at our problem groups, and that's why we use the reporting. We like to learn from our mistakes, and but also I need to know what my staff was doing when that problem group was out there and how effective it was. So we'll see. It looks like we have those envelopes. Those symbolize the two-way messaging, the two-way message. So it's at those on number 10, and it looks like on 11 green we sent the GPS message, and looks like our first human interaction or intervention was made on number 12 green, and then again on number 13 green, and then again on approach on 14. So that's three interventions that we made in less than 3 holes there. So it looks like we were we were doing our best to get the point across to this group that they needed to speed up, and then you'll see at certain points their dot changed from the magenta to the red, and then came back out of position. So we had our work cut out for us that day, it looks like. But at least it tells me that my staff was either in the pro shop or my marshal was aware of the problem, and that we were engaging with the customer to correct it.
Yeah, I think again, great, right? Sometimes post-round conversations, especially if a player has a vent a few days later, are really difficult to handle. And if you can just go back to your system and say, hey, what was your tea time again? Let me quickly check. That changes the conversation. Yeah, what we spoke about data, and you mentioned that 4-hour round doesn't happen by chance, it happens by design. And I've got good news for you guys in that the season you've actually gone 3 hours, 58, 29 seconds. I know that yeah, that doesn't just happen, right? Like, you have to put the effort in. So this is what Tag Marshall calls the analytics hub. So here we look at this is a single day, but you can also look at a month or a week, whatever time frame you want, and then you can see how the period has progressed. There's weather information that comes in. We want to understand how many of the problem groups were addressed and were we successful. All of those things the system tracks. Are we assigning successfully? Because it makes a big difference to know, are these all foursomes or are there some singles in there, right? Because that changes dynamics. And all the way going to what's the tee box wait time, how much time spent on fairway, how much time spent on green, what's the hole by hole run time. All of these elements are important. And then ultimately the distribution of the pace, which means how many of these groups came through quicker than expected, within 10 minutes quicker, on time, green, or slow, if any. So Dan, from your point of view, yeah, how is this helping you manage both your team, maybe players sometimes, but also how is it helping you also report, right? Because if that's important to you from a business standpoint, well, how do you measure yourself? So tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as far as my team goes, we rely on 3 marshals that we refer to as a 3-headed monster, that both have had very successful careers in business, that have a background in data. So they're actually very intrigued in learning all of the features of the system. So really throughout the week, I have somebody out there who's highly competent in managing the pace of play, and they have an understanding of what's going on with the technology. Some of my staff members, we've had to train, and if they're a little bit older, they may not be as tech savvy, but the data it's very easily presented, so that really anybody can learn and understand the system. But I got 3 all-stars that actually will teach me about the system sometimes, and when they're able to communicate that to the customer, it really goes a long way. So it's very valuable.
That's brilliant. We've got some other data we want to look at, and obviously the big question is, how do you generate additional revenue? Like, is this helping you from your business goals? Always, how can we optimize and maximize our revenue? How can we save money? Is it ticking the boxes for you? So let's talk a bit about that, because obviously labor hours and being efficient is a is a key industry challenge. At the same time, if we can generate additional revenue, we don't want to leave any on the table. That's why we do business. How's the business helping you? Sorry, how is the system helping you execute on that? And is there value for you from a revenue standpoint, from a savings standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, as far as revenue, it's pretty cut and dry. You know, if our pace of play is good, we can charge more for the round of golf. You know, we've already discussed that. And if our pace of play is good, we can sell more rounds of golf also. You know, sometimes golf carts is a constraint that a golf course has, where if all of my golf carts are out on the golf course because it's a slow day out there, I could be delayed on the first tee box. With this system, we're able to manage pace of play where we have a steady flow of carts coming off 18, you know, every 8 minutes if we're tracking. So I'm never having to block a tee time because I don't have enough golf carts, or a golfer is waiting on a cart. I'm sure that's something that a lot of you out there have experienced. We don't have to do that out here. And we have a fleet of 90 golf carts, so it's never an issue. But yeah, we're able to use some of these additional features to, like the geofencing. You know, we're able to protect the golf course with that feature. So if anybody enters an area that's you know, we're maybe trying to protect, it will give a alert to the customer. We use the advertisement to also tell the customer about our membership as well. And then as they come off of 18, we have a nice advertisement for the America's Best Pizza, Ice Cream, and Barbecue. And nothing sounds better after a round of golf than a cold beer. So
Yes.
yeah, we do like those features, but we like to make it very clear to all of our staff that when these tablets did come in, that first and foremost, it is a pace of play management tool. There's a lot of cool tricks and you know, features that it has. The golfers were super amped about the yardage and the distance features on there too. But the response from them on the pace of play management, I think may have even been greater than that, because they understand that
Yeah.
you know, we're looking out for them out there.
Yeah, and I do think your results speak volumes. We're going to look at some data here in just a minute, but there's actually a question that's come through. Clearly, you're hitting the spot here. There's a question that says, how easy would it be to implement Tag Marshal mid-season? Our course is pretty hectic at the moment. When did you implement, and obviously I know, yeah, how our sort of install looks like and training and things like that, but how would you answer that question and your experience?
I don't think it'd be very difficult at all, honestly. Well, we don't really have a low season here in Texas. You know, it gets a little bit hot in the summer and a little bit cold in the winter, but you really play 365 days a year. We installed ours in January, and in the middle of a busy day, I think we probably did 200 rounds on the day that your technician came out and installed everything. And your support team is extremely helpful in helping get everybody up to speed. Shout out to Peter. He's you know, always available and always open to a phone call. And throughout the setup process and the installation, it was really quite seamless. We didn't have to close down, and we just held one cart aside about every 30 minutes for your technician to do his thing. And then you know, we were going within a few days, so it was awesome.
Yeah, thank you. I would have stumbled answering this question, but you were there when it happened. Because I know that the big question is, well, do we need to lock up our carts for a day in the cart barn for the technicians to work on it? Like, no, like we know exactly how valuable they are, and you can, the show must go on, right? So yeah, our team has gotten very good at just slotting into your operation and also managing expectations. And really thank you for the kind feedback on the guys that they do put a massive effort into making sure that onboard is seamless. So it's great to hear it from you. So yes, I do think it's definitely worth considering. And I know that it's sometimes you think, well, we're mid-season, does it make sense to do it? It does. Like the benefits immediate, and the line of sight, you can never go back once you've had it. Like I said, it's like you're learning about Google Maps today, right? And now you know there's traffic on the way home. It gives you a detour. It's automated. It's easy. That's exactly what it's like. It's as intuitive. And even if it's busy, it'll immediately give you back hours that you had to spend trying to mop up problems last week. So it's definitely a consideration. But we wanted to look at some of the data here that was aggregated. And there's just two things I want to point out. The first one is that if you're looking at the hour by hour runtime of the course, you can see the bar graph down here. I don't know if you can see my mouse or not. I'll try and, if I can, how can I show my mouse? Annotate. Spotlight. Oh no, should have tried this before. I don't want to open system settings. No, sorry, Zoom. Okay, we're just going to talk to it. Winging it. So at the bottom left, you can see a graph that shows a curve. So that curve is the average round time segmented by hour of play. And then you see bars, and those show the play volume. So it's very evident at Woodbridge, your early rounds before 8 a.m. run at 3 hours 30, right? So this is obviously a great fast start. That's what you want. And then you have around 10, and it's like that at many golf courses. You've got your 425 segment, and then later in the afternoon things speed up again. So what we normally advise is that, well, you can use this now with data evidence to look at, well, when do we actually need to pay attention? What are the critical time slots? But also, where are opportunities that we have to look for additional capacity? Because if things move more quickly, you can potentially, in those times of the day, you can reduce your intervals and free up additional capacity. And you can run the model like based on the system data very effectively. So from a resource allocation point of view and from a capacity creation point of view, it's invaluable information. But I want to, on the bottom right, you can see the impact of delayers on the field. And you guys are doing a phenomenal job in keeping that group of delayers so slow, but you can so low, but you can see the impact it has. And this is a well-managed golf course that comes in way under goal time and under 4 hours this entire season, like clockwork almost. If this is not done, you will have 10 or 15% of the groups delaying, and the impact they have is on more than half the field, right? So that is why you paying all this attention, because 15 or 20% delayers, they may not perceive themselves as a problem, but the groups behind them do, right? And that is when they're playing 30, 40 minutes longer than they thought they would. And that is when they say, well, I'm not coming back next Saturday. It wasn't great. Takes too long, can't play golf, takes too long, right? So if you get it right, they love you. They'll come off the course with time budget in hand, right? They've still got time. And that's when your best pizza, best brisket, and best beer ads really land, right? People come off happy. And the data supports that the effort you put in is worth the results. And yeah, going back to the players, and we spoke about post round, and I'm pretty proud that I've kept us on time here. It's we're on the hour now. Yeah, the interaction with the player is obviously key, and you guys want to know, and that is one of the things that I really value about you. You want to know, and you want to own up if you don't get it right. That is a big learning opportunity for you, and you want to improve. Tell us a bit how the system helps you do that, like in real time, and also give us a bit of a flavor of what it's worth to you from a dollar standpoint, and to have made that decision.
Yeah, well, there's the rating feature. So all day long, I'm able to see, like you said, in real time, how he did. So we get we've had a lot of 5 stars lately, so I'm happy, very proud to say that. And then as far as you know, from a revenue standpoint, we actually we just increased our monthly membership by $8. And part of the justification for that was the new technology that we've installed. So and I think many people would be happy to pay $8 a month to be able to use these devices. They're really an added value and increase the customer experience on the golf course. Yeah, we're very happy and very satisfied with the product.
Fantastic. Dan, we've got another question here. I was having a discussion with our assuming that's a superintendent, the other day about geofencing, and he was suggesting cart stop. I know players don't really like it much. Is Tag Marshall offering this? How does it work? You spoke about this earlier, and you obviously have your superintendent dialed in. Yeah, what is your stance on it, and is it doing what it's supposed to for you guys? Because no, we don't do cart stop at this point, because for the reasons mentioned, the players don't like being patronized, and actually often we've seen that it's counter positive pace of play, right? Because people get stuck and they don't know how to get out. So is it doing what it's supposed to when it comes to turf protection for you guys? And maybe just a quick recap on how it actually works.
Yeah, so when somebody breaches a geofence, there are actually settings in there that you can for any sort of violation, whether that be a out of position or a slow play, we can get notified, but there's actually notification that the golfer gets, and you can customize how aggressive you want that to be. For a geofence violation, we want that to be aggressive. But we actually don't necessarily want it shutting down the golf cart. We've all been in that situation where you got to back out of a certain area, and then sometimes if you're stuck, you got to call the golf shop. Golf shop's got to come out, or an outside service attendant to maybe move you or reset the system. So we're fortunate with this system that we have never had to do that. And it is quite loud and annoying. I just ask the homeowners around the golf course hear it, and they'll call saying, "Hey, you got somebody driving on the fairway on 15." We can hear it in our backyard, by the way. So maybe not great if you're a homeowner on the golf course, because it's pretty loud, and golfers will they will drive right back to the cart path, and it's the system where the golf shop is actually the ones, or your superintendent is the one that gets to hand design the which areas that you have geofenced, and it's very user friendly. And if you're cart path only, or like us, on a lot of days we're in a floodplain, we have a few certain par fives that are in a very low spot, and if we want only a handful of those holes to be geofenced off, we can just enable the certain fairways on a daily basis. So first thing we do, we go in, we set the geofences for the day and our conditions, and then our welcome message or our greeting when they get to the first tee box to explain the course conditions for that day. But yeah, no, we're happy that it doesn't shut off the cart, just because I think that seems to be more of a nuisance than a luxury with these devices.
Yeah, thanks. And it's great to hear that it's working. The superintendent is happy, right? And that's what's supposed to. Just to explain a bit better. So it's not better. I'm adding to explanation. So the beeping is really like a truck reversing, right? We all know what that sounds like. So it's hard to ignore. And also there's a visual pop-up that says, well, geofence alert, like you're in an area you're not supposed to be in, please move out. And you can also see it on the screen. You can set it that you can show the geofence so that people know, oh, I'm not supposed to go in here, right? So we always want to give people the benefit of the doubt rather than remote controls stop them. And very often, for the most part, it works. And also remember, with the track map, you actually have a history too. Like if somebody really misbehaves, you can show them post round, or you can show them with an intervention, say, hey, you guys, you really need to listen to the system and stay on track. And the superintendents will then also be able to potentially adjust the geofencing that's set up, or the templates that are set up, or they may make on-course adjustments to make sure that players are compliant. But it's helpful, obviously, to have the data backing with it. This is the end of our amazing webinar. I want to thank all of you guys for staying on, and I know that it's not an easy day in North Texas today. We've got a few of our heroes on here. If you ever want to reach out and learn more, please feel free to reach out to Daniel, who's our area partnership executive. We've got Joey Walters is our GM, a guy that you cannot miss if he's around. He's a rather large character and human. A wonderful guy to have our team on our team. And then we have David Hamilton, who's our VP of Business Development. David actually came to me with me when we went to visit Austin over at their offices in Frisco. It's been around the golf block for many years. So all wonderful people, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions. We're here for you guys. Dan, thank you so much for your time. Super insightful. Really, again, how you guys run and turn on operations is phenomenal. I've seen it many times, and your playbook is one that others, I think, would love to copy, and I think should. So keep it up and keep innovating as well. It's great to see. Really appreciate your time and you sharing how you do things over at Woodbridge. I hope you had fun with me.
Yeah, no, it was a great time. I appreciate the opportunity and appreciate the partnership, and thank you to the section for hosting us today.
100%. I know that there were 2 people dialed in on their phones. If we can just ask you to reach out to us or to Austin and say that you participate, because we can't see your name, so that you can get your PDR credits. That's a special mention to you. And thanks everyone for taking the time, and all the best. And I hope that your cleanup at your golf course after the heavy winds is not too crazy. And we hope to see you guys soon at one of the section events that we'll be attending. Dan, all the best, and look after yourself. And I hope that your course cleanup is bringing opportunities. Even, who knows, you might clean out some trees that you had questions about before, and the wind has now made the decision for you.
Well, I appreciate it, Bodo. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks everyone. Take care.